Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Yahusha. Yahuah, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Hamashiach. We, the people of the book broadcast, is going down. It's going down today, this Shabbat. We do this because Yahuah has called us to wake up Yaakov. He told us to wake up Yaakov, to bring to them the witness of Yahusha Hamashiach, to restore them in this witness by giving them the word, right? Believing in Emunah that they are going to receive this witness. That they will not only receive this witness, but they will move forward in this witness by the power of the Ruach HaKodesh that will come with signs following. It's time for it to go down. We going down. Listen. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha Hamashiach, I give you praise. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha Hamashiach, we give you praise. Yahuah, we thank you right now for your Ruach HaKodesh. I'm asking you to take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign by your Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuah, I want to say what you want me to say. Yahusha says that he says what you say. I want to say what Yahusha say. I want to live that example and witness that he declared upon receiving the Ruach HaKodesh. We would be led and guided into our truth, and that you would give us what to say in that hour. Yahuah, I'm yielding myself to your Ruach HaKodesh. I pray that no one would be turned out of the way. No one would be caused to stumble. No one would come up lame. Yahuah, but in this, the witness of Yahusha Hamashiach, I pray that by the Ruach HaKodesh, they would be made alive. Those that you have chosen from amongst the nation, those who you have chosen from amongst the other nations. Yahuah, I give you praise. Yahuah, I thank you for making me a part of the remnant, establishing me in the kingdom, giving me a Ruach HaKodesh, sealing me with the Ruach, giving me the earnest of my inheritance. I give you praise. Yahuah, I desire my brethren to receive this witness. I desire of my brethren, Yahusha and Yahudah, to receive this message. But Yahuah, I desire that those that you have chosen amongst the other nations to receive this witness. Yahuah, let your word go forth in the name of Yahusha Mashiach, I pray. Yahuah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuah, I'm yielding to you in the name of Yahusha Mashiach. Listen, man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen, it's going down. We are going to bring to you the word of Yahuah by the Ruach HaKodesh. We're coming in with none other than Hezekiah. You know I love this Ak. This Aki was introduced to me by my Ak, Yaakov ben Zion Gaal. And I love this Aki. Hezekiah. Song is entitled A Remnant. Only a remnant. Nation. Only a remnant. I don't own the rights to this music. Listen, I love Yahuah. But we are here to wake up Yaakov and Yehudah. Listen, I love my grafted in Gentile brothers in the body of Hamashiach. You are in this remnant. Listen, but I am here right now in the book of Hebrews to wake up Yahusha and Yahudah. Now, the book of Hebrews is for everyone to receive and gain Emunah. But Yahuah is speaking specifically to the Hebrews. That's Paul's presenting this besorah. So the cry is to the brethren. Yeah. The word is going out to the brethren. It's time for you to return to faith in Hamashiach. Turn to Yahuah through faith in Hamashiach, because it's the only way it's going to happen. And be established in his witness. Again, none other than Hezekiah. Song is entitled Only a Remnant. I don't own the rights to this music. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen, we going in. We're in Hebrews, the 12th chapter, right? Now, we know that Paul's letter to the Hebrew was to his nation, right? It was written to the assemblies that are scattered throughout the area, right? Because the letters was written and they were passed along, right? So the idea is that when a word goes to the nation or to an assembly of the nation, it was circulated throughout the rest of the assembly. So we understand that Paul is reaching out to his brethren, right? And Paul is reaching out to his brethren largely that have accepted Yahusha HaMashiach. And he's calling them to make sure that they understand continually and walk in this witness, right? Because you know that they have recognized that Yahuah in Hebrews, matter of fact, let's just go there real quick. Hebrews, the first chapter, right? Hebrews, the first chapter, the first verse, Paul opens up by saying, Elohiym at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets, right? So we understand, Paul is saying, listen, we understand this because this is our culture. This is our heritage. Yahuah spoke to us by the prophets, spoke to our fathers by the prophets, right? When he had a word for us, he had something that we needed to do. If there was an instruction, a discipline, something that we needed to receive, he sent it by way of the prophets, right? They came with the correction. They came with the exhortation. They came with the sure word of Yahuah, right? Now, our fathers didn't always receive it. And our prophets suffered. Some of them died at the hands of our fathers, right? Because they didn't want to receive the witness of Yahuah, right? But the idea is that Yahuah has always spoken to us as his people. And he's used the prophets to speak to us. Now, in these last days, Bruce, we who have accepted the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach understand that he has spoken to us in these last days by his son, right? Whom he has appointed heir over all things, of whom he made the world. So we understand as Hebrews, right, that we have received this witness, and because we have, we acknowledge that Yahuah has sent his son. We acknowledge that Yahuah appointed him heir over all things. We acknowledge that we receive his testimony, right? We acknowledge that Yahuah was in the brightness of his glory, the express image of his person, that Yahusha upheld all things by the word, the Torah of his power, the Torah mixed with the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, the power, the exousia, the dunamos, right? He upheld it all by the word of Yahuah, which is sure, right? We understand the word of Yahuah is sure. As Hebrews who have received the witness, listen, I know that the word of Yahuah is sure. I know that what Yahuah says he's going to do, Yahuah is going to do exactly what his words say. See, I don't even have to speculate on what he's going to do because I know he's going to do exactly what his word says he's going to do. Yahuah ain't going to vary from his word. He's going to fulfill his word. His word is going to come to pass. If Yahuah has spoken a thing, it's a Torah. It's going to be a teaching. It's going to be established. Not one dot or one tittle is going to go or pass away from this word, because it's going to be established forever, and it's going to do exactly what it is assigned to do. The word that Yahuah spoke concerning Yahusha HaMashiach, he said, Yahuah, David said in the 110th division of Psalm, the first verse, he says, Yahuah said unto Yahusha, sit down at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. Well, Yahuah spoke that word through David, which was prophetic, right? And came to pass, and Yahusha HaMashiach, who Yahuah has raised from the dead and seated him at his own right hand. Yahuah's word is sure, right? You understand that Yahuah's word is sure. Listen, if you can't believe Yahuah's word to be sure, then it is what it is. You know, listen. You can't struggle over what you read in Torah. You can't try to justify a Torah to meet your needs. Torah is what it is. It's a word of Yahuah that goes forth, and it's established in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. It is line upon line, precept upon precept. If Yahuah said a thing, then that is what that thing is going to do. That's what that word is going to say. Now, see, he expects us as his children, those who have received his witness, to stand firm, being secured to his word with our Emunah, knowing that it's going to create substance, or it's going to bring it to pass. It's going to have evidence. You got to understand this, bro. You got to understand this, and this is what Paul was saying to the church. He said, listen, Yahusha was the brightness of his image. He upheld everything by the Torah, the word of his power. Listen, we know in Yahuah, right? In Yahuah, the first chapter, right? And I'm going to go there because I'm just going to go there because it has everything to do with having Emunah. You got to have Emunah, right? You got to have Emunah. He says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah, and the Word was Yah. The same was in the beginning with Yah. Yahuah, Yah 1 and 3. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Yahuah 4 and 1 and 4. And in him was life, and that life was the light of men. Yahuah 1 and 5. And the light shined in darkness, and darkness then comprehended not. Listen, you got to understand and establish this witness to be true, right? It's the same witness that occurred in Genesis, right? Yahuah spoke the word, right? The word was with him. The word was him. It was all in the beginning with him. All things were made by Yahuah, his word, and the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Because they're all one. They're 3 in 1. They're the witnesses in his Shamayim. Abba, the Word, and the Ruach HaKodesh. They all agree. They're not separate. They function as one. That's why sometimes you'll hear me use Yahuah and Yahusha, interchangeably. You hear me use Yahuah and the Ruach HaKodesh interchangeably. Why? Because they're one. They walk in agreement. Yahusha is the Word made flesh. Yahusha is seated at the right hand of Elohiym, right? He's the son of Yahuah. Listen, Yahuah and Yahuah. Yahusha and Yahuah, listen, they won. Just like the Ruach HaKodesh is one. Yahusha said, listen, the Father's going to send you a comforter, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit of truth, right? And then he says, me and the Father are going to come live in you and make our abode in you, in the Ruach HaKodesh. All 3 are one. They are one in unity and function. They function together. Yahusha was the Word made flesh. You got to understand this. You got to understand that this Ruach, this Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuah and Yahusha, they're all together. They are one. Listen, you gotta get this, bro. You got to get this, bro. You gotta get it. Listen. So we recognize that Yahuah was the Word made flesh, right? Yahuah 1 and 14, and the Word, Yahusha, was made flesh and dwelt among us. So the Word was made flesh and it dwelt among us. Well, who was the Word? The Word was Yahusha. Yahusha was the Word made flesh that dwelt among us. Yahusha was in the beginning with Yahuah. Yahusha was in the beginning when Yahuah said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Yahuah, Yahusha, and the Ruach HaKodesh, or Yahuah, his word, and the Ruach HaKodesh. They all agree. They all bear witness to Yahusha Mashiach in the earth. Listen, it's ruachal in the sense that you need to have the Ruach HaKodesh in order to understand fully and completely, but you got to take it in Emunah until you do. You got to receive this witness in Emunah. You got to, listen, if you can receive the witness of Yahuah, right? That Yahuah made the heavens and the earth by his spoken word, and the Ruach HaKodesh moved to bring it to pass, right? As Yahusha had dealt it out. Listen, if you got to believe that in Emunah, right? You got to believe that Yahuah had a deliverer in Moshe that he put in an ark of I forget that. It's like reeds and pitch and slime. She made an ark for Moshe because she saw that he was a fair child, right? You got to believe that in Emunah. Listen, you got to believe everything that the forefathers has done up until this point in Emunah. And you know what? You got to receive Yahushua Mashiach's witness in Emunah. You got to receive the fact that, he's got a new order. It's called the Melchizedek priesthood order. He hasn't changed the commandments. You should never say don't keep the commandments. You should say keep the commandments. I've kept the Father's commandments. We know that Yahusha was always in favor of keeping Torah. He was the Torah made flesh. He was the word of Yahuah made flesh. We just read that. But listen, he was going to always keep Torah. But listen, the order of the priesthood had to change. It had to. But you got to receive this in Emunah. You got to receive the fact that Yahusha is the son of Elohiym in Emunah, right? Then, you got to, once you receive that, therefore, you got to give the most earnest heed, bro. I'm talking about the brews that received the witness. Now, the brews that have not received the witness, listen, they got to receive it anyway. They got to be established in it. They got to take it by Emunah. They got to pull themselves away from that Torah only, Tanakh only, Yah only doctrine, if it's possible, right? Especially if they have somehow received the Ruach HaKodesh and then turned back. Oh yeah, well, But those who haven't, listen, just got to have Emunah. The same Emunah that it takes to believe in Moshe and the Torah is the same Emunah it's going to take for you to receive the believe in Yahushua HaMashiach as the son of Elohiym that was spoken of in the volume of the book, right? And it's now establishing you in Yahuwah's kingdom in Emunah. You got to receive that. You got to receive that witness. You can't just bypass it. You can't bypass the high priest. You can't bypass the offering. You can't, you can't bypass the sacrifice. You can't bypass none of that. You can't bypass the priest going into the holies of holies. You can't bypass the priest going into the holy of holies, sprinkling the blood to meet with Yahuwah. You can't. And the only way to be established is through Yahushua Mashiach, who's done all of that for you. And all you need to do is receive it in Emunah. You can't let it slip. Therefore, we ought to give the most earnest heed to the things which we have learned, lest at any time we let them get away from us. Right? Listen, you are going to be established in this witness until the end, as long as you meditate on Yahusha's word, as long as you pray in the Ruach, you pray with your understanding, you sing in the Ruach HaKodesh, you sing with your understanding, as long as you continue to meditate on the word of Yahuah, you muddle it over, let it go over and over in you. That's just the faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahuah. In order to be established in this continually, you got to hear the word of Yahuah. You got to hear the word of Yahuah, and you got to hear it continually. You got to hear this word continually. Listen, that's why I tell you, if there is a video that you have received from the Besorah of Truth, this ministry, listen, it didn't cost you nothing, right? But it ministered to you. Listen to it over and over and over again. Listen to them over and over and over again, and let yourself be established in this witness, developed in Emunah. Man, if y'all listen, woman, if y'all listen. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahuah. You have to meditate on this word, because if you don't, it'll slip. Kadar, shut it up. It'll slip. It'll get away from you. This word. You got to meditate on this word. You got to keep this word before you. He says, for if the word spoken by angels was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just recompense, received justice, right? And a reward or a payment, recompense of reward, a payment, right? How shall we escape if we neglect Yeshua? Listen. If the word of Yahuah comes, right, and we don't give heed to it as we should, right, and we allow this Yeshua that we have been established in to slip, right, you're not going to escape. You are going to be consumed like everybody else. There is no once saved, always saved. We've learned that doctrine in the Christian church. Oh, well, if you accept Jesus as your personal savior, you're always saved. No. How you going to continue in sin and be always saved? No. How you going to continue to lay the grounds to repentance and be saved? No. This is not that. This is not that witness. The witness of Yahushua HaMashiach requires and demands obedience to the Torah, to the commandments, to the words which Yahushua has taught and he has given. You got to obey. And then, you have to maintain this relationship. You got to, listen. If you married and you and your wife, right, never talk, right? You never do anything together, right? You never do nothing together, right? You don't share your day. You don't do anything, right? What make you think that's gonna last? Or let's say you in a relationship with your wife, but you always cheating on her. He always cheating on you, right? But you always coming back saying, babe, I'm sorry. Or an abuser, right? Oh, I love you, baby, but I'm putting speed knots on your head, right? I'm putting speed knots on your head. I'm giving you black eyes. I'm breaking your bones, but I'm coming back to you all the time saying, I'm sorry. Forgive me, babe, right? And then 3 days later, he putting another speed knot on the other side of your head, right? So you think that relationship has an obligation to stay together? No, you done bumped your head. Seriously. Now I understand there are things that lead people to stay in relationships. Some of it is fear, some of it rejection, some of it has everything to do with their own self-worth, right? You may feel like you don't deserve anything better, right? So all of these things factor in how you understand your relationship in whatever relationship you're in. But the fact is that relationship ain't gonna last, right? It ain't gonna last, because if he keep putting knots on your head, eventually he's gonna kill you. Oh yeah, because that's the nature of an escalation of violence. Violence always escalates. It's gonna always become more and more intense, all right? Especially if you wicked, especially if you ain't got no sense of righteousness. Oh yeah, you ain't gonna do it, period, if you're righteous. But I'm saying, if unless there's not something in you, listen, you gonna escalate. That situation gonna get worse. So you think that Yahusha, right, sacrificed himself to become the high priest, right, and to take his blood into the holies of holies before the Father, who received it once and for all for you in your behalf, right? You think you can continue to go back and do the things you did again, do the things you did back, and do the things you did back, and then you gonna still go to Yahuah and say, oh, Yahushua, forgive me. No, Yahuah said, no, listen, the atonement that I've laid for you should have cleansed you from sin and unrighteousness, right? If it has cleansed you, then listen, you shouldn't be laying the grounds to repentance. You shouldn't have this pattern of sin of your old nature. No, you shouldn't. So you got to understand. You got to keep these things before you. You can't let them slip. All right, we can go on and on and on, right? We can go on and on and on and on. Yahushua being the high priest, right? He's the high priest of our profession. We who have professed the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach in the nation. Because just like you had Pharisees and Sadducees that weren't a part of that were in the nation but did not receive the witness, right? The same as now. We who have received the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach are just like the apostles and the prophets who heard the word, had developed Emunah, received it. Men and brethren, what must we do to be saved? Listen, repenting for your sins, be washed, be baptized in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, and receive the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the process, right? That's establishing us. That's what Yahushua said to Nicodemus when he says, you must be born again. Nicodemus said, how can a man be born again when he is old? Can he enter the second time in his mother's womb? Yahushua said, no, you got to be born of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to have the process. You have to have the process. Yahushua came baptizing as a high priest, right? Unconventional, because he was in a wilderness with camel skin and he wore camel skin, and anyway, he was almost like a wild man, but he was a priest performing the service of Yahuah because Yahuah called him into the wilderness, right? Into the wilderness, right? Where everybody was. Everybody had to come, right? And his message was repent and be baptized for the remission of your sin, because there's one coming who is going to baptize you with the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, that was his witness. That was his witness. That was his job. He was a high priest. He had to ceremonially wash you. Yahushua is a high priest. You got to believe this. You got to be established in this, right? This is what our forefathers looked to, because they understood that there was a kingdom to come. There was a city whose builder and maker was Yahuah, right? There was a kingdom to come. The apostles understood this with Yahusha. He said, listen, are you going to this time restore again the kingdom to the nation? He says, not for you to know the time or the day, nor the hour or the time. Anyway, it's in the Father's hands. He knows. And when he says it's time, I'm coming. But in the meantime, conduct kingdom business. Establish my witness, right? Because we need subjects for the kingdom. We need Ruach-filled people to be established in this witness. Because when the kingdom comes, you are going to reign with me as kings and priests and be established in this kingdom. You are going to receive an inheritance. Listen, Yahusha. Yahusha better than Moshe. Come on, we've been through this. We've been through all of this, right? We're going to go right to chapter 12. We're going into chapter 12, y'all. And listen, Bruce, take this entire series and listen to it over and over again, because Yahuah is going to continue to minister and reveal things to you by the Ruach HaKodesh if you have the Ruach HaKodesh. And if you've received the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh, he's going to reveal this truth that's in this book. He's going to reveal this truth that is in this book. Listen, you have to understand that Yeshua is yours nation of Yasharal and Yahudah. Yahusha came to establish a kingdom for his people, right? But it's people that have received the witness, not the people that ain't. The people that have received the Ruach HaKodesh, not the people that haven't. The people who have been made alive, that have been quickened, not the people who haven't. See, again, because you got to understand, it's not the awakening that establishes you. It's the quickening, the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach, the Ruach HaKodesh, the life that comes through faith, right? A firmness, a securely being fixed on the word that Yahusha said you must be born again and receiving it. As the apostles preached it on the day of Pentecost, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, you must believe this witness in Emunah in order to be established in the kingdom, right? So you got to listen to these. You got to listen to these again. It's not me tooting my horn. Listen, this is Yahuwah declaring to you. You need to receive this witness. You need to take the time to listen to this. You need to open up your Bibles, your CEPHERs, and go with me from page to page, tell scripture to scripture, so that you can reinforce what Yahuwah is saying in you. I'm trying to establish you to the end. I'm trying to make sure you are made alive and quickened by the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm just trying to do what Yahuwah told me to do. I ain't trying to do no more and no less than what Yahuwah told me to do. I'm just trying to do what he told me to do. And my desire is that you as his people would receive his witness. Okay, so we in the 11th chapter. We're in the 12th chapter. Right? So, again, I love the book of Hebrews, but then I love the Apostle Paul. You know, and in so many ways, I feel like my ministry is mirroring his in the last days. I do. You know, I love the Gentiles. Look, you know, you got bruised like, man, you know, we always want to give our heritage over to somebody else. Listen, I ain't gave my heritage over to anybody. I'm a Hebrew. I know I'm a Hebrew, right? But it wasn't me that made the decision to bring in the Gentiles. That was Yahusha. Listen, if Yahusha said that he had others that were not of this fold, listen, if Yahusha says that told Paul to go to bring the beset to those he has chosen among the Gentiles, listen, that was a Yahusha call. And see, if you don't want to receive Yahusha's witness, then, you know, this is going to always be a sore spot for you. You're going to always be, I hate the white man. You know what I'm saying? I hate the Gentiles. You know what I'm saying? You know. And listen, you know, these brethren that are in the camps, listen, they're Hebrews. I love Hebrews. I love them. But they're gonna be lost in the error of their doctrine. If they don't receive the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach and they don't receive the Ruach HaKodesh, they're gonna be lost in their doctrine. Right? They're gonna be just like the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Listen, same thing in some of these assemblies. Listen, they're gonna be lost. You know, they operating like they're the Christian church. They're going to be lost, right? Because this ain't that. This ain't that. This ain't that. You can't be sitting up in your congregation cussing and swearing with corrupt communication. When the Apostle Paul said, let no corrupt communication come forth out of your mouth, he said that at the same time he was talking about whoremongers. He was talking about male prostitutes. He was talking about sex sins. Why? Because if you think about it, every profane word that comes out of your mouth has something to do with being unclean, being a sex word, or something unholy. Come on, listen, it's a perversion, but you're going to say it. Why you going to let corrupt communication come out of your mouth? You said, Paul said, this should not be once named among you as his brother. Oh, yeah, I know some of you ain't going to like that. You know, y'all bruised that like to cuss. Well, you know what? Listen, you need to receive the witness of Yahusha Mashiach. Because when you receive the witness of Yahusha Mashiach and you receive the Ruach HaKodesh, you ain't going to be doing all of that. You ain't going to do all that. And listen, you know what, right? I drive Uber, right? And I have this one individual, man, that I pick up all the time because he'd rather pay me than Uber. So, you know, I don't mind. Okay, I'll pick you up, you know, because he's going to pay me more. Because he's going to pay more than Uber, and he does, right? But the thing is I pick him up, right? You know, and, I told him, I have conversations with him because, you're regular. So, we talk, and I told him, I was Hebrew, and I'm, with some things, But, he French, he a different dude. He a different dude, right? But he know who I am. He know what I stand for, right? He get in the car and he start cussing. He's like, who's? I'm sorry. I apologize, man. I really got to work on this. He's so used to doing it, but he catches himself. And then sometimes, he get to go and then, I'm sorry, I said it again. I apologize. And he's not being funny. He's just reverencing the anointing that's in me. Because that's the Ruach. That's what the Ruach does, right? When it establishes you in an anointed place. So you know what, bro? If you standing up cussing before your congregation is cussing and swearing, listen, you need the Ruach HaKodesh, because I don't know what you got, but it ain't the Ruach HaKodesh. You got a cussing demon. Bruce be cussing, you got a cussing demon. You need to go ahead and repent, ask Yahuah to forgive you and fill you with his Ruach HaKodesh so you can do and say the things that he wants you to say. Listen, Yahusha says, I say what my father say. Yahusha, you ain't never heard Yahusha one text say, these effing... You ain't never heard Yahusha say nothing like that. That's corrupt communication. That's a profanity of that's a corrupt communication of a union that Yahuah has established between men and women, right? In purity. But you perverted every time you use that profanity. Right. Somebody will hear this and need to hear this. I don't know why I got off on this, but listen, that's what we're looking at. So I don't even want to get that, but you had that direction, so I give you the praise for it. So we're in the 12th chapter of Hebrews, right? And we're starting at the first verse. And again, you have to keep in mind that this is a continual theme and thought, right? Everything that's being brought forth throughout this text was a progression. Paul was progressively trying to get you to a place where you understand where you needed to be, right? And then having got to this place, you needed to know how you got there. And then you need to know what you're going to do you need to understand what you need to do in order to maintain this, to stay in this place, right? You have to understand this. And once you begin to understand this, then it makes sense ruachly. It makes sense what Yahuah is doing, what Yahuah is saying, how he has brought together this renewed covenant, right? And listen, if something broke, you fix it or you get rid of it. Listen, if it's broke, right, you fix it. And if it can't be fixed, you replace it, right? Listen, the priesthood was flawed. It was broken because men had a consciousness of sin. Yahuah allowed it to continue because he knew that he would be satisfied. Yahuah would be satisfied with the covering of blood. He did not like the fact that goats and lambs had to be slaughtered. But he knew that there was only one way to satisfy sin, and that was with a sacrifice, with an offering. It was that way from the foundation of the earth, from Adam and Ava to Abel to Noah, to all of them. They understood the need for sacrifices. And it's only those who continued in their sins, right, that got swallowed up and died. And Yahuah took a remnant from amongst them. Listen, you got to understand that this is an order, right? This is an order. It is a divine order. And that there has to be blood. You have to understand that Yahusha had to die. You have to understand that the order was flawed. That's why it was replaced. It was broken because men was broken in sin. You know, here you got Aaron making a calf, right, for the people so that they have something to worship along with Yahuah on the mountain, because Moshe took longer than he should have to come down. So they decided to go to the priest, the Levi, and request a calf. And, you know, he told him to gather your stuff and I'll make it for you. And he made it, right? They dancing around butt naked, acting like crazy people, you know, carousing, doing everything the heathens did in their idol worship. They learned it from Egypt. They learned it from Mitzrayim. All them gods Mitzrayim had, all that pervert. Listen, they learned that, right? They learned that, right? And what did Aaron do? He gave him a priest. But you know what? Yahuah still made Levi. He chose Levi, the priest, to be the priest of the nation, Levi. Right? So Aaron became the high priest. He was Moshe's brother, right? What changed about Aaron? Absolutely nothing. Aaron was the same Aaron that made the calf that was the high priest. The only thing that Yahuah was satisfied with the fact that there were some ceremonial cleansings and washings that Yahuah would allow to cover them as they continually did the service before the people, right? But Aaron ain't changed, right? His sons offered up strange fire, right? Yahuah consumed them. Aaron couldn't grieve them, right? They disobeyed Yahuah, right? Because Yahuah has an order, right? But it was flawed. Not the order. I mean, the order was righteous. The people were flawed. They had to offer up sacrifices for themselves, and they had to offer up sacrifices for the people. They were flawed, right? They were flawed. Hence why Yahusha said, that's why Yahuah said, like priests, like people like priests, right? He said that in Hosea 4. Hosea 4. He said, for my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, 4 and 6. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, because you have rejected the Torah of truth, right? The Torah of truth is knowledge. The Torah is knowledge. Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, truth, that's all Torah, right? He said, you rejected Torah. And I will also reject you, right? What did Yahusha says? He said, Yahuah said in the commandments. He said, listen, all you got to do is obey my commandments. And if you do, you'll be blessed. But if you sin against me, I'm going to visit the sins of the father unto the children, to 34th generation. Unto them that hate me. You hate me when you reject knowledge. Right? And that's what the priest did. He says, I will also reject thee, that thou should be no priest. He's talking to the priesthood. He's talking to Levi. He's talking to Levi. Levi was flawed. It needed to be replaced. It was broken. You break, something's broken, you replace it or you fix it, right? He said, I will reject thee. You rejected. That thou shalt not be priest, no more priest to me. He rejected you, priest. He rejected the priest. And then he said, seeing that thou hast forgotten the Torah of Yahuah, I will forget your children. Levi, priest. Talking about the priest. Talking about the Levites, because they didn't take care of the service. They were flawed. They were flawed, right? Look, they were flawed. Again, Hophnius and Phinehas, flawed. You know, taking the women at the entrance of the tabernacle and having sex with them, right? Flawed. taking the sacrifice and taking out the portions that they wanted before they took away Yahuwah's portion. Flawed. So, if it's broke, it needs to be replaced. And that's what he said in Hosea. He says, as they were increased, so they sinned against me. As the priests increased, right? So they sinned against me, right? Co-sinned against them, right? Therefore will I change their glory into shame. You ain't priests no more. Levi aren't priests anymore. The order's changed. In order to be restored, you can't go to Levi. Levi don't have a high priest no more. Levi don't have ceremonial washings no more. Levi don't have the tabernacle or the Most High Yahuah no more. Doesn't have a holies of holies no more. He can't offer a sacrifice on behalf of your sins anymore. It's done. It's a wrap. It's complete. It's finished. Levi is a tribe, right? Levi is going to want to be a part of the priesthood, but it ain't going to be because you Levi that you're going to be a part of the priesthood. You're going to be a part of the priesthood if you receive the witness of Yahusha Mashiach and you're established in this kingdom. He says, they eat up the sins of my people and they set their hearts to do iniquity. How you going to take somebody's wife or women, right, into the temple and have sex with them? You cause them to sin. You cause sin to be passed on to them, to their husband, and to everybody that they're joined with. Man, listen. Wicked. He says, there shall be like people like priests. People going to be just like the priests. Wicked. And I will punish them for their ways and reward them for their doings. It was flawed. It needed to be fixed. Yahusha did not destroy the Torah. Yahuah did not destroy the Torah. He just amended the priesthood. He just made it possible for you to return once and for all through Yahusha Mashiach, the high priest forever, as Yahuah has sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever, a high priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. Okay. Now, chapter 12, verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses. Listen. Bruise. In this original covenant, we have witnesses. We have witnesses to the faith of our forefathers. We have testimonies to their successes in Emunah being firmly fixed and established, right? And we got witnesses of the hellions that did absolutely opposite of what Yahuwah said and suffered and died because of their wickedness. We have witnesses. We have witnesses to the righteousness of Yahuwah through faith, and then we have witnesses to the destruction of those who would not receive the witness and the promise, that didn't enter into Yahuwah's rest. Hence, our forefathers that came out of Mitzrayim, who had the Torah before them in Moshe, who had the priests going before them for 40 years, offering sacrifices once a year, had the judges that were selected, 70 men full of the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, and they still was wicked and died in the wilderness. You got that record. It's a record, bro. You got record of the doings of your ancestors. This book is our heritage. This book is our heritage. It was stolen. It was hijacked. Titus Vespasian and the Romans took it and hijacked it and created this Christian insanity. And this Christian insanity went into the four corners of the earth. Look at the medieval periods. Look at the dark ages. Yahusha said, you got to work the work while it is day, because dark comes. Dark ages. Got to establish this witness now. We got to record this witness now. We got to get this. We got to get this. We got to get this. A new testament. This renewed covenant established now, while it is day. Because I've just bruised Hasatan's head, but he's gonna bruise my heel. Yeah. He gonna do what he's been doing with darkness in the earth. He's going to establish the tentacles of this perversion. And this perversion is going to cause people to go astray. And eventually it's going to evolve and morph. It's this universal religion that we accept everybody because we are the world. We are the children. No. The children of Yahuah and the children of Hasatan are distinct. Those who do the will of Yahusha and Yahuah are his children. Those who don't aren't. That's in the book, but I don't know how the Christian church has gotten around that. They established in this whole universal religion kind of thing. Even the Pope was trying to get everybody together and create one religion, one group of unity. What fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? What concord has Christ with Belial? What has Yahuah with the temple of idols? We are the temple of Yahuah. Listen, that's why Yahuah took the temple from out of a building structure in Yahusha Mashiach and put it in us, who receive his witness. Because he's going to constantly have his witness in the earth and the temple that he has put his Ruach HaKodesh in. Yeah, we that written epistle. We that temple. We that witness to the people. Whew, listen, wherefore seeing we are compassed about, we got them all around us. So great a cloud of witnesses. Let us lay aside every weight and the sins which do easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Listen, every weight I lay aside. I laid aside every weight, every sin. Listen, and you know what? You have to do this continually. You have to continue to keep yourself in this place. Listen, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about, how can I say this? He said, just say it. Listen, laying aside every weight and sin is the decision made to not sin. It's not the continual sinning and laying it aside, but it's the decision made to not sin. You have to make the decision not to sin. Now, because you have been cleansed by Yahusha HaMashiach, and his Ruach is in you now, right? The Ruach HaKodesh will warn you when the potential for sin surfaces, right? That's why you have to maintain your witness. That's why you have to maintain your walk. That's why you have to fast and pray. That's why you have to fast and pray in the Ruach HaKodesh with your understanding. That's why you have to fast and pray and read and meditate and allow Yahuwah's word to resonate in you so that you can run this race with patience and endure. Because you know that you have the victory. Because you are established in Yahusha. You know you have the... Listen. You got to do some work. Right? Faith without works is dead. You got to work. You got to, by your demonstration of the truth of Yahuwah's word that you are being fixed and firmly secured in, you got to demonstrate that in your obedience. This is a race. It ain't a sprint. It ain't a sprint. It's cross country. It's a race of endurance. It's a race of endurance. Right? It ain't a sprint. You can't sprint this race. You ain't going to sprint this race. I don't care who you are. You ain't going to sprint this race. This race is an endurance race. This, you have to gauge yourself. You have to discipline yourself in this race. You can't get the desire to take off and start running real fast. You got to wait patiently, right? And move in this race with patience, right? He said, and we have what we need as references of success for race runners in the original covenant, and with us who have received the witness in the apostles and the prophets, and those who are recorded in this original and this renewed covenant, this renewed testament. We have witnesses. Listen, we have witnesses, right? See, and because it's our history, right, we should be able to identify with these witnesses, right? Right? Now, any other nation that gets these, right, this Besorah, this Torah, they read from it, they can gain from it, but it's not their ancestral history, right? No, most of their ancestral history is in the Caucasus, right? They're Europeans, right? Their history is not ours, right? Our history is not theirs, right? See, we in the lands of our captivity, and our people, they convinced that, some of our people convinced that, there ain't no slavery, or slavery over. Listen. Listen, you have to understand that we have witnesses. And these witnesses were real. And that they made it because they were secure, fixed, and they were firm on the word of Yahuah. And Yahuah counted unto them as righteousness. Because Yahuah said a thing and they obeyed. Yahuah said a thing, they obeyed, and they walked it out. They walked it out. They walked it out. He says, now looking unto Yahusha HaMashiach, the author and the finisher of our Emunah. Yahusha, right? The author, right? That word author is, in the Greek,
Strong's G 747, archegas.
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 Archeas. Gas, or ask that. The chief leader, the prince, one that takes the lead in anything and thus affords an example, a predecessor, a pioneer in the matter. Now let me see if it's in the Hebrew equivalent is in here. It says Hebrew, it says 747. Nope, 747 isn't in here. $746 is no Greek 747. Nope, it's not in here. 746 is in here. 746 says the head, top of the beginning of a place, such as a river or a mountain, or a time such as an event. The point at which something starts. Okay. That's 7-6. Okay, yeah, okay. So the etymology of the Greek word is G46. Okay, so G46, okay, is the origin, the beginning, a person or thing that commences the first thing. Okay, so that's what it is, right? So with this Greek word 747, there's also the etymology of that word, which is G746, which in the Hebrew is H 7225, which is the head or the top or the beginning of a place, such as of a river or mountain, or a time such as an event, the point in which something starts, the origin. So, Yahusha is the origin of our faith. He is where faith began. I'm not talking about where faith began when he became Yahusha. I'm talking about when faith began and it formed the heavens and the earth. Now, Yahusha is the culmination of faith in its origin, right? In its origin and in its completion. Hallelujah. I thank you, Yahusha Mashiach, for you are the Word made flesh. You are faith personified. Yahusha is the originator, or Yahusha, faith originated in Yahusha. Before Yahusha was ever Yahusha. And the finisher, that Greek word for finisher is
Strong's G 5051. Teleiotes. Teleiotes.
Teleiotes, a perfecter. So Yahusha is the perfecter of faith. Yahusha did everything perfectly in faith. Yahusha was faithful in obedience to the death of the cross. One who has in his own personal raised faith to a perfection. Right, let's see this. Let's look at this word. Let's see if this word is a G word too. G5. G5051. 5051. Right. The etymology of that word is 5G5048. To make perfect, complete, to carry through completely, to accomplish, finish a thing, brought to an end. Now, the etymology of that word in the Hebrew, right, there's two. H3634 and H4390. It means to stand upright, right? To stand upright, to be erect. To stand upright, right? The second one is to occupy to the full capacity, right? It says, meaning hand, full the hand, or fill the hand, right? Where it is often translated consecrate, right? So it means, meaning hand, or fill the hand. So, Yahusha is the finisher, the one who in the Greek the word is to render a thing full. In the Hebrew, it's the full hand, right? Yahusha is the full hand, or to the full faith, who for the joy, right, that was set before him, right, endured the cross. So Yahusha in his Emunah, right, his Emunah and the word of Yahuah, his commitment to the Torah, to fulfilling the word, to establish Yeshua for his people as he has been given that designation by Yahuah, right? He released his faith in Yahusha's word, because Yahusha said unto Yahusha, sit down at my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. He had Emunah in that word, right, that Yahuah had declared unto him. He had faith. He was firm. He was secured, right? And he recognized the joy that was going to come from him sitting on the right hand of Elohiym, and the joy of his brethren, which he loved, right, would now be a part of a kingdom in the erect that Yahuah has established, right, in Yahusha, right? And they would, along with Yahusha, participate in this kingdom, right? Yahusha, who for the joy of all these things that was set before him, right, endured patiently. He endured to the cross, right? Despising the shame, because he was the son of Elohiym, right? And sat down at the right hand of the throne of Elohiym. Yahusha had Emunah in the word that Yahuah had spoken in reference to his place in Psalms 110:1. Yahuah said unto Yahusha, sit thou on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool, right? And Yahuah shall send the rod, right, the authority in Yahusha of thy strength out of Zion, right? Zion is a place, but Zion is a collective people, right? Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. You are going to rule in the midst of all your enemies. You are going to put the kibosh down, as I had declared Adam and Havah to do, but they failed, they yielded, they surrendered their dominion because of their willful disobedience. Because of their sin, they could not occupy the kingdom, because sin cannot dwell in the kingdom. Just like Yahuah can't dwell in temples made of stone, and Yahusha can't dwell in temples that have sin. Henceforth, Adam and Havah were put out of the kingdom. They were put out of the garden. They were put out of that place that housed Yahusha, the place that Yahuah had established as his kingdom that was righteous, that they were to occupy and put the kibosh down on. Now Yahusha had assumed that dominion because he was victorious. He was not consumed by darkness. Hasatan could not get Yahusha to yield. Yahusha was not consumed by the darkness. Yahusha overcame. And because he overcame, his dominion was established forever. He says, thy people shall be willing, Psalms 110:3, in the day of thy power and the beauty of thine holiness, from the womb of the morning, thou hast dew of thy youth. He said, listen, Yahuah has sworn and will not repent. Yahuah has sworn by a word which he has spoken. What is the word that he has spoken that he has sworn by? Thou, Yahusha, art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, because he has already spoken it. He already spoke it. He already spoke it. And he has set Yahusha at his right hand. He's the author and the finisher of our Emunah. He's in us. Yahusha, Yahuah, and the Ruach HaKodesh in us. His Ruach HaKodesh. His Emunah. You don't even have to use your own Emunah. You just got to use the Emunah that Yahuah's given you. It's put in you. The Emunah that Yahuah's put in you. Just use it. Listen, I grew up using the Emunah. Taking my family and moving in Yahuah's word in Emunah. Standing on the word in Emunah. There are some things that Yahuah did for me in Emunah as I released my faith in the Torah and the Beset of truth that came like this. There's some things that took time. Some things took years. Right? Some things took years. What I'm doing now in the kingdom, in the ministry of Yahuah, took years. I have established myself as an elder in Emunah, and Yahuah can use me now to a different degree and a higher level. It took time. Listen, IVRIYM received a promise when he was 70 years old. IVRIYM went wandering in tabernacles that were pitched. Him, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, looking for a city whose builder and maker was, who had foundation, whose builder and maker was Yahuah. Emunah. IVRIYM received the promise by Yahuah that he was going to be the father of many nations. Changed his name just so that every time he heard his name, he was hearing the father of many nations. Well, it took 30 years of Emunah to be able to receive what Yahuah had prepared for him in your sack. And then it still took Emunah because Yahuah wanted it. He wanted to test IVRIYM to see if IVRIYM really believed him. IVRIYM took his son up to Mount Moriah, laid him on that altar, got ready to plunge that knife into him, and Yahuah said, oh, told the angel speak to him, IVRIYM! IVRIYM! Had to pump the brakes on him because IVRIYM was going to put it in him. And he was going to believe Yahuah to raise him up. Because he told his servants that me and the lad will be here. We're going to return. That's why they named the mountain Yahuah Jireh. Yahuah, my provider. Listen. You got to receive this witness. He said, consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners. Pharisees and Sadducees just contradicted him being the son of Yahuah constantly. God, he ain't the son of Elohiym. Listen. It's Yah only. It's Tanakh only. It's Torah only. Yahusha, that ain't a part of the Torah. That renewed covenant, nah, that ain't Yahuah. That ain't Yahuah. They created that. Yeah, he's still enduring contradictions against sinner brews. You brews that are sinners. You bruised and don't want to receive the witness, you're sinners, because you haven't even returned. You haven't even returned to Yahuah yet. I know somebody mad, but I don't care. I don't care. You notice he said, for consider him that endured such contradictions of sinners against himself. Because everybody who contradicts the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach is a sinner. They're going to be purged. Everyone that contradicts Yahusha HaMashiach as the Mashiach is going to be purged. You're sinners. Everyone of y'all walking around here talking about, it's Yah only. It's the Torah only. Yeah. It's the Tanakh only. Yeah. Y'all sinners. Sinners. Hear the word of Yahuah. I have been called to wake up Yasharal and Yahuah to wake up. Listen, you sinners. You haven't returned to Yahuah. Listen, you haven't returned with a sacrifice. You haven't returned with a high priest. You haven't returned into a tabernacle where Yahuah can meet with you at. You're still a sinner. You're still outside the fellowship. You're still outside the camp. You can't come in until you repent. You can't come in until you're born again. Until you receive the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. Him of which Yahuwah said he will baptize you with the Ruach HaKodesh. I indeed baptize with water, but he who come after me, he who sent me told me that he was going to baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, bro, you still in your sins. This Besorah must be preached. This Besorah got to be preached. For consider him that endures such contradictions of sinners against himself, lest ye be weary and faint in your minds. Listen, you need to consider what Yahusha has experienced in all of these contradictions. People gonna contradict you. That man, listen, he talking about you got to receive the witness of Yahusha Mashiach. He don't know what he talking about. He talking about preaching these gospels and Besorahs, and didn't they know Caesar created that? Like Caesar has the intelligence. That Caesar has the intelligence to establish something so righteous that he could somehow take the volume of the book and collaborate it and come up with the Besorah. Take the ideas and the Ruacho ideas and the Ruacho concepts, the lines, the precepts, and create a renewed covenant. You done seriously bumped your head. You done seriously lost your mind. You contradiction. Yeah, they contradict me. They contradict Yahusha. They gonna contradict everyone who receives this witness. Just don't you get tricked and lured into it. Let's go on a little bit further here. Let's go on. He says, and ye have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Bruce. You haven't resisted to the point of blood. You haven't. Your prophet's been sawed asunder, fed to lions, hung upside down, boiled alive, put into a fiery furnace. What you What have you lost for this witness? What have you sacrificed for this witness? Yahusha laid his life down for the nation. Just like Moshe was willing to die for the people of Israel. Yahuah said, listen, man, these people, when you sleep with your fathers, are going to rise up and go a-whoring after other elves. The elves of the land, whether they go to be amongst them. We've been brought into the lands of our captivities and we've worshipped their elves. We worship Christianity. We worship Islam. We become Jehovah's Witnesses. We in Church of God in Christ, Church of God by faith, Church of God of the Assemblies of God, Methodist, Free Methodist, AME Methodist, Baptist, Southern Baptist, Lutheran, Episcopalian, Catholic, all of these other elves of the lands that we were scattered to. They took our book and took portions from our scriptures, our text, and created this wickedness. Yep. He said they're going to forsake me and break my covenant, which I have made with them. Brew, better get a bruised clue. For you have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of Yahuah, nor faint when thou art rebuked of heaven. Listen, there's some things that Yahusha is going to do. He's going to chase you. He's going to correct you when you get out of line. Right? But because he chastens you, he does it because he loves you. Listen, it takes discipline to run this race. It takes discipline, right? And Yahuwah's going to correct you when you need to be corrected, right? He's going to discipline you when you need to be disciplined. He's going to discipline you with a word. He gonna have a preacher like me speak a word to you. It's gonna bring correction. It's gonna discipline you. He's gonna show you what your wrong is and what you need to do to correct it. That's what Yahuah does. He says, my son, despise not thou the chastening of Yahuah, nor faint. What's that word faint mean? The Greek word.
Strong's G 1590, ekluo.
To loose, to unloose, right? To unloose, to set free, to respond, become faint-hearted, right? To become weakened, right? Yahusha's chastising you. Yahusha's rebuke is to strengthen you. It's not to cause you to faint. So when you're corrected, you should take the correction, make the necessary changes so that you don't have to be corrected again. Right? That's spiritual discipline. I mean, that's spiritual discipline in two different ways. It's discipline because discipline is what it is. It disciplines you. It corrects you. But it's discipline also because it teaches you how to become more disciplined, right? How to do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. That's why Yahuah corrects you. For whom Adonai loveth, he chastens and scourges every son whom he receives. That's why it shouldn't be a problem for you to discipline your children. Because Yahuah disciplines you. You as a father of your child who have the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Right? And some of, even natural parents, right? But especially Ruach parents, understand the importance of discipline. You understand the importance of correction. You have to mete out discipline in order to change behavior, in order to establish a sense of discipline, right? You have to bring correction. You have to bring chastening. They don't feel good, but it's for your good. Because he loves you. I preach this Besor truth because I love Hebrews. I preach this because I love Hebrews, but I preach it because I love the Gentiles as well. Those who are the called, those who are chosen. Yeah, I love them. I want them to understand the word of Yahuah. He's called me to preach it and teach it. He's called me to give it out. I got to obey it. 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 I got to do it in Emunah. I do this. I give this because I believe in Emunah that Yahuah is going to reach those who he has chosen with it. And they are going to be established in his kingdom. I believe this. I believe it. He says, if ye endure chastening, Elohiym deals with you as a son. If you endure the discipline, Yahuah deals with you as a son or a daughter. For what son is he whom the father chastens not? What father doesn't correct his child? He don't love him. Listen, if I let my son do everything that he wanted to do, right, and not listen to me at all, I don't love him. Actually, I hate him. Because I could not possibly care about the outcomes of his decisions. I don't care about the outcome of his decisions if I allow him to do whatever he chooses or he wants to do, right? But because I love him, I'm going to correct the behavior and establish some discipline so that in my demonstration, I'm letting him know that I care for him because I don't want just anything to happen to him. Yahuah is the same. Yahusha is the same, right? He says, but if ye be without chastening, right? Correction, whereof all are partakers, because everybody's chastened, everybody receives corrections from Yahuah. They that are bastards and not sons, right? He says, but if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons. So listen, sons of Yahuah, you get corrected. Daughters of Yahuah, you get corrected by Yahusha. And the correction comes in order to establish you and keep you grounded in him, keep you disciplined, right? Yahuah allows some things to come just to strengthen your discipline. And I'm talking about your discipline in the word. I'm talking about your discipline in prayer. I'm talking about your discipline in fasting. I'm talking about your discipline and reading the word. Yahuah is going to do the things that are necessary to chasten, to correct you, to discipline you, to point you in the direction of a race that requires endurance. Right? If Yahuah didn't do anything to you, he didn't care about you. He's a bastard. He don't care about you. Right? That's why Yahuah don't discipline the world. They get what Hasatan serves out. We who receive his witness, we belong to him. So he corrects us so that we'll maintain the path that we're on. He chastens and disciplines us so we can continue to walk in the path that he's established for us. So that we can be the examples that he needs us to be in the earth. Listen, furthermore, right? Paul is talking to Hebrew Christians, or Christians, Hasatan, I rebuke you. Paul is talking to Hebrews who are a part of the assembly, who are a part of the witness, right? He said, furthermore, speaking to him like a father. Furthermore, we have fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. They disciplined us, and we reverenced them. We respect them. We esteemed them. We didn't disrespect them. Shoot, when my father used to beat me with a belt, he got my respect all the time. One day he used to beat us with this thing called a paddle. It was a leather paddle. It was like this round thing. It was like round, but it was leather, but it was a paddle. And he grabbed that thing, he pull our pants down, he spank our, bam! That's on the boat, that thing, you know. Yeah, he did that because he loved us. He corrected us because he loved us. He didn't abuse us. He corrected us because he loved us. Sometimes his correction was hard. You know, his correction was hard. And a lot of that had to do with how he was raised. His dad was a psycho. His dad was a drunk. And his dad was abusive, right? But my dad was not abusive in his discipline, but he was harsh in how he spoke. You know, he was real harsh. Especially to me. And growing up, it was so much so that I was a nervous kid, you know, around him. Real nervous. Like, I mean, I got ulcers as a kid. Stuff that I should never forgot. Right? But a father's responsibility is to correct his children. Right? And we reverenced our fathers. I reverenced my father. Right? I revered my father. Right? Shall we not much more rather be in subjection to Yahuah, the Father of Ruachs, and live? Yeah, the Father of Ruachs. You know, you got the Ruach of Yahuah, the Ruach of wisdom, the Ruach of understanding, the Ruach of counsel, the Ruach of might, the Ruach of knowledge, and the fear of Yahuah, the Ruach. Right? The Father of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the sevenfold Ruachs, right? And live. Right? A Father who corrects us, right? With the Ruach of wisdom and understanding. The Father who corrects us with the Ruach of counsel and might. The Father who corrects us with the Ruach of knowledge and the fear, reverence of Yahuah. Right? Right? Should not we be subjected to the Ruach of Yahuah in us? And then should not we be subjected to whatever Yahuah does in disciplining us? It's a question for you, bro. It's a question. And live. Because in it, there's life. See, Yahuah ain't going to correct you to kill you. Yahuah is going to correct you unto life, right? In order to walk in his wickedness. In order for you to endure to the end. Because he's invested in you. The investment is the Ruach HaKodesh in you. That's the earnestness. That's the earnest that he's put in you. That's his investment. He's put a down payment on you. He's put his Ruach HaKodesh in you. Him and Yahusha. Ruach HaKodesh in you. For verily, for a few days chastening us after our own pleasures. Right? For verily, for a few days chastening us after their own pleasures. He's talking about our fathers. Right? Our fathers are disciplined us because they want to discipline us. as it pleases him. Right? But he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his Ruach holiness. Listen. He disciplines us in order for us to be participants in the Ruach HaKodesh. He disciplines us in order that we may be participants and utilize his Ruach HaKodesh. For verily, for a few days chastens after their own pleasure, our earthly fathers, right? But Yahuah chastens us for our profit, that might be partakers of his Ruach HaKodesh, his set apartness, his Kodeshness, right? We're Kodesh in him because of the witness in the Ruach HaKodesh. Hence the reason why we are made subjected unto the Father of Ruachs, sevenfold Ruachs, and live, because they gonna keep us. They're in us. He says, now, no chastening, for the present, right, seemeth to be joyful. Listen, there are things that I know Yahuah has allowed me to experience in my flesh that he has used to cause me to, excuse me, I'm grabbing a book, that caused me to pray harder, fast longer, you know, pray in the Ruach more, pray with my understanding more, speak the word, you know, I mean, to take me to a whole different level of a discipline, right? See, in discipline, correction, right? Discipline is not always because you've done something wrong, but because Yahuah knows that he needs to bring you to a deeper place, right? Which is going to require you to have more discipline, right? More discipline of reading, more discipline writing, more discipline praying, more discipline fasting. You need discipline, right? And it's for your benefit. It is because you need to endure to the end. Again, what was the first thing that he said in that first verse? He said, wherefore, seeing we are so compassed about with so great a cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight and sin that so easily beset us, and run with patience the race that is set before us, right? Lay aside the weight, right? I mean, definitely lay aside the sin, but lay aside the weight, those things that weigh you down, that are unnecessary. Because if you lay them down, then Yahuah don't have to discipline you to get you. Right? Listen, food can be a weight. You may need to fast to lay aside that weight, to put aside that craving, that desire, that want to eat all the time. It's a weight. Some things are weights. And Yahuah wants you to be more disciplined. Right? He wants you to be more disciplined. That's why he says, He said, looking unto Yahusha, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at his own right hand with Elohiym. Right? Right? Discipline. Right? And Yahusha learned obedience by the things that he suffered. Yahusha. Discipline. Yahusha was a discipline. Yahusha didn't do anything except what Yahuah told him to do. Yahusha said, I do what my father say. I do what my father do. Right? He was disciplined. Bro, he was disciplined. That's why it's important to understand Yahushua HaMashiach in the Besoras. Because you get an idea of his discipline. You know that Yahushua got away from everybody and went to pray. You know, Yahushua got away early in the mornings and went to pray. Right? Discipline. Listen, you will wake me up in the midnight hours. You will wake me up 2-3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week. You know, and I'll get up and I'll walk and I'll pray and I'll sing before you, pray in the Ruach, sing in the Ruach. I dance for you. I do whatever I need to do, whatever you would tell me to do. I get on my knees and lay prostrate before him. I do whatever he wants me to do, right? Because I understand that the race is not given to the swift or to the strong, and I know Yahuah's got me up for a reason. So I got to pray. I got to pray. And you know, listen, don't ever get to the place where Yahuah is trying to wake you up or trying to get you to get up and pray, and you don't. Because then he going to put you in a place where you going to have to get up and pray. You don't want to do that. Listen, I'm a witness. You don't want to do that. You don't. You know, don't. You get up and pray. You know, you get up and you go into a place in the house and, you know, you raise your hands to Yahuah and you pray in the Ruach and you pray with your understanding and you trust Yahuah. You trust Yahuah, right? Okay, so, verse 11, for no chastening for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous, right? Right? Nevertheless, afterward it yields a peaceable fruit, because you're going to have peace, right? And you're going to be righteous, right? You're going to be right in the right place with Yahusha, right place with Yahuah, unto them which are exercised thereby. So everybody who does those things that Yahuah, everyone who does what is necessary after having been chastened, right, are going to yield a peaceable fruit, right? And they're going to be exercised in the things that are necessary. You're going to be exercised in prayer. You're going to be exercised in fasting. You're going to be exercised in reading. You're going to be disciplined. Man of Yahuah, woman of Yahuah, this is what we have chosen in Yahushua HaMashiach. And listen, not only us, our ancestors, our forefathers chose this. IVRIYM, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Moshe, Joseph. Listen, all of those who have went before us, the prophets, David, listen, Samuel, listen, they all, Shimson, Solomon, listen, it was all put there for our learning. We will establish Emunah for the truth, or we'll suffer judgment for our not having received the witness. That's it, Bruce. This is we the book, people of the book broadcast. Yeah, and then Yahuah, it's gone down. Listen, I'm praying right now in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that you would be established in Emunah. Recognize that this Emunah is firm. And you need to be established in this witness. The blood of the king. Hezekiah. I don't want to write this music. It's the blood of the king. Yahuah, I pray right now in the name of Yahusha Mashiach that the words you've given me to give to them, that they will receive them. We, the people of the book broadcast, has gone down today on this Shabbat, the word, the Torah of truth that you have given me to give to them, Yahuah, I've given them. And my prayer is that they would receive it in Emunah. I pray that they would receive it in Emunah. Yahuah, I pray in the name of Yahusha Mashiach that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart will be acceptable in thy sight. Yahusha, my strength, Yahuah, my Redeemer, in Yahusha's name. The blood of the King, people. Bruised. Men of Yah, called to greatness, women of Yah, called to greatness. Women of Yahuah, beautifully and wonderfully made. It's about the blood of the King. The blood of the King who was a high priest after the order of Melchizedek, who offered his blood for an eternal covenant, right, on the altar in the Shamayim, and has been awarded the seat of kingship at the right hand of the Father. Waiting until his enemies be made his footstool. He gave us the keys to the Shamayim. We are his epistles in the earth. We are his kingdom in the earth. We are where he resides in us. It's the blood of the King. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, with that I say, listen. Enjoy your Shabbat. It's because of the blood of the King that you have been restored. And the blood of the King has gotten you this Shabbat. Because you right with Yahuah. Because you turned to Yahusha. With that I say, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Torah Garden, speaking the absolute truth. Torah Nation.